My Honda Civic seemed a silly option for Sampson, who at 6'6", 330 pounds, could barely fit in his own car. His namesake was not lost on me. It's only fitting that his first position with the gangster disciples was Chief of Security. We were heading back to his old neighborhood in South Chicago, a place called Inglewood. At one time, and to some degree still, one of the most dangerous places in all of the country to live. Or die. In 2015, Spike Lee made a movie setting it in Inglewood and called it Chirac, a controversial mashup of the place names Chicago and Iraq. To hear Sampson speak about it reminded me of the Wild West, especially when he talked about his grandmother.
She carried 2 pistols, a 38 and I think it was a 25 automatic. She would use them and on you if you offended her in any way, or you crossed her, or you messed with her children. She would shoot, talk later.
In a way, it really was the Wild West. And just like you have cowboys in the West, in Inglewood, you have gangs.
I didn't join gang right away, but I was always around them. At that time, you had the Black P. Stone Rangers, El Rookins, High Supreme Gangsters. I was a little boy, man. I was fascinated with all of that stuff.
Why do you think it fascinated you?
I didn't have any older brothers. My friend Quentin and Leffie, they had 2 older brothers. They treated me like a little brother, and I wanted that. It was always seemed like a camaraderie that you shared with them.
So you felt like you belonged.
Felt like I belonged to something.
Sampson would also gain feelings of camaraderie from another more legitimate activity, sports.
I began to play basketball in high school, was really enjoying it. I graduated Joliet East High School and came back to Chicago and started attending DePaul University, but I didn't receive a scholarship. I was trying to walk on to play basketball there, but things just didn't work out. And I had some things going on with my feet, so I couldn't walk for about 6 months, and he told me I couldn't play basketball for a year, and that just ruined everything for me.
Directionless, Sampson went to live with his mom on Low Avenue in the heart of Inglewood. By this time, we pulled up to the side street where he lived during some of his gangster days.
This is Inglewood, yeah. Me as a gangster disciple, this neighborhood from 63rd to 67, from the Dan Ryan to Ashland was my area. And it's been a long time since I've been back over here. Where I'm pulling up to now, my mother lived here maybe 17, 18 years in this building called the Low Terrace.
You might notice in the background the low hum of car engine. We kept it running. Seemed like a good idea given the location. Being back there sparked memories in Sampson.
See that guy in the red there? We were all standing there, about 10, 15 of us. This van pulls up right where we're sitting now and start yelling stuff out of the window. Just so happened, the guy that we call the governor, that means he was over the whole city. He was the gov. He pulled his pistol and I pulled mine just because he seen the van. And then he started running this way and I'm running with him. I'm not sure, but I got my gun out and just started shooting at the van. Boom, 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 boom. And then it pulled off. And then later on that evening...
He bounces from story to story, all with the same theme of violence and hopelessness. He finally lands on the story about the kid that the 2 gang leaders were contemplating cutting in half.
BDs and GDs got together, and it had to have been about 1,300 of them. It was about 1,400 of us. You know what? I wanted to see if we can find the church where all of the gang members met up at.
They met up at a church?
Yeah. It'd been nice somebody come out and shared the gospel with us, but it was kind of like a kind of rundown, and we just used it. I didn't know that I was going to actually end up in church.
Well, we serve a God of surprises.
Yes, yes. Yeah, this was the area, man. We must have flooded these streets with about 2,000 to 3,000 people, man. It was really about this one young kid who was selling drugs for GDs, turned around and messed up the money, but he flipped and became a BD because he was afraid that the GDs was going to whoop him for having sold the drugs and spent the money. He had some relatives that were BDs and thought they were going to, cover him from ever being, violated. But that didn't stop anything, because when we met, he's standing there, the leader of the GDs and the leaders of the BDs, they talking back and forth and jaw-jacking at each other. And then GD gang leader said, man, I tell you what we do. Why don't we just cut him in half? You take half and we take half.
Now, who knows if they were ever serious about cutting him in half, but they were serious.
Later on, they end up shooting the kid.
If it's true that history repeats itself, Sampson knew he was in trouble.
I had did the same thing. I had got some drugs, man, and I sold them, but I kept the money. And they came looking for their money, and I ain't have it. But I'll call myself, ain't nothing finna happen to me, man. They know who I am. They ain't finna do nothing, but you can never be bigger than the mob.
The gangster disciple leaders call for a meeting. In attendance are about 600 to 700 GDs. Now, at this point, Sampson is 28 years old, rather long in the tooth to be a gang member. He's now a regent, meaning he oversees a particular geographical area, but like he said, you can never be bigger than the mob.
That meeting was set up so that he can take me in that room with a few other guys and whoop my behind. He telling the guys, pick out, some guys that can, get with me. They picked out about 7 guys, and then he said, hey, Big G, come with me. That's what they call me. Big G, come go with me. So I'm like, okay. I said, maybe we finna handle something, But it was me the whole time. They ain't said nothing yet.
Once inside this small room, the gang leader and Sampson go back and forth for a bit about the money Sampson owes. After which, it's determined Big G has a big beatdown coming his way.
So now I'm ready to get in the defensive position to fight everybody in that room, but I'm thinking it's about 600 guys outside this room. If I go crazy on these guys, them guys from the mob be up in here. And so he says, you know what that means? Full Nelson, 5 minutes, no cover up.
Now, full Nelson is an illegal wrestling move which is executed from behind and very effective at holding and keeping you from using your arms while also exposing your face. So basically, closed fist punches to the face for 5 minutes without the ability to cover up.
5 minutes is an eternity. Yeah. They started whooping me, man, and first, I was so tensed up, mad, and angry that I let myself get caught up in this situation in the first place, because I could have gave them their money, and I didn't. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, what am I doing? What am I doing? Because in all the time that I have been a gangster disciple, I've never been violated. Ain't nobody ever put their hands on me. I'm 28 years old. I ain't got no business doing this in the first place. And they got through. My face was all disfigured. When they get through, they like, man, you're going to still get that money.
Sampson's face eventually did heal, but by then the question was out.
Man, what am I doing? What am I doing? Look at you, man. You supposed to have went to school, played basketball, got a future, moved on in your life, and look where you at. You out here in these streets, hustling, getting beat on. Like, man, you're going to do something else with your life. I'm trying to think of what else I could do, because I have no skills. I'm not a carpenter. I'm not a welder. And I wanted to go and just try to find regular work, go find a job. But it just, after you live that life and you have fast money and you're doing that kind of thing, you feel like you just can't go to ordinary. And And that was something terrible, man, to feel like you don't know where you at in life.
This feeling of hopelessness was compounded by an arrest for cocaine drug possession. After a stint in the county jail, Sampson was released back to a life of aimless wandering. Thinking a change of scenery would fix things, he planned a bus trip to Ohio to live with his sister. Plus, some guys from his past were after him, looking for some retribution.
At that time, I had both my hands had been broken from jumping a guy, hitting him in his head with my fist and broke both my hands. Found myself at the Greyhound bus station. And missed that bus 3 days in a row, man.
While waiting for a fourth time to catch the bus, Sampson was approached by a stranger. The stranger had overheard Sampson on the phone say he had nowhere to go. The man suggested he go to Pacific Garden Mission, a rescue mission in the South Loop of Chicago.
Back in the day, I used to drive, catch the Green Line train that would go downtown, and it would go past Pacific Garden Mission. You could look from the train and see Pacific Garden Mission, and you would see all the homeless men and women standing out there. And I'm like, man, I ain't gonna never go in there.
But you know what they say. Never say never.
I think I should just stay here in Chicago no matter what happened. Either they kill me, I kill them. I'm tired. I didn't want to run no more. And when this guy offered to take me to Pacific Garden Mission, I was shocked, man, because, why you want to help me, There's got to be some kind of setup or something.
As it turned out, the rescue mission was true to its name. Sampson Green needed a rescue.
But that was the very place that Christ had drawn me to, so that, the Bible says in John chapter 6 and verse 44, it says, "No man can come to me except the Father which sent me draw him, and I'll raise him up in the last day." And my situation of life drew me to Jesus and into that Pacific Garden Mission for a night's sleep. But I found eternity. And I found eternity in the person of Jesus Christ through the gospel. And I got saved at Pacific Garden Mission. And my life has never been the same.
Just like the Samson in the Bible, who was physically strong, he was morally weak. But God used Samson's failures and mistakes to demonstrate his sovereign power.
Man, that was my prayer, that God would give me boldness to proclaim his word, and that he would bring my children back to me. And he did he did everything I asked him. Everything I ever asked the Lord, he done for me. And all I want to do is proclaim his name. That's all I want to do.
God answered Sampson Green's prayer because Pastor Sampson Green now proclaims God's name on a regular basis as the director of the men's program at Pacific Garden Mission, the same place he would pass by on the train and scoff at. We do indeed serve a God of surprises. So until next time on the Unshackled podcast, unless our Lord returns before then, I'm Timothy Gregory.